Good morning, Quirky Birders, it's Lynn here, and we're going to carry on with our lovely daily art challenge, which is our little whimsical picture of Bunny Hill. So today we're going to be putting in the rest of the paint. Like I've said to you before, it's only in elements. We're using an awful lot of the paper in a negative space way, so we've got the paper being used for the white, but today we're going to be painting in the houses. We are going to be painting in the little trees, and we're also going to be painting in the roadway and the little grey hill in the background. So let's make a start with the roadway first. And we can make a start by just taking up some of the lovely Battleship grey. If you haven't got any Battleship grey, then please use a little bit of black. Just water that down slightly. And when it comes to painting the road, you just want something nice and light. So just work that paint. You probably only need to load your brush at once and then just manipulate that paint and work that paint through the entire little roadway. It doesn't need to be bold. This design is just a lovely, light, sort of almost pastel design, really. Like so. And then while you've got the grey, you can actually be putting in your little hills in the background. So just being very careful to go around that edge of that little tree, and we'll follow that lovely soft line. And then just take some time just to get rid of those brush marks. You don't really want the brush marks around the edge of that tree. We'll just do a little bit on the inside. And then just be careful around the chimney, and then come back the other way. So I'm just going to take some time just to get rid of that pooling paint this side and just push that along a little bit. But can you see how you can just manipulate that ever so slightly? Although watercolours is one of the hardest mediums in which to paint, it really is quite forgiving because you do actually have an element of time to work that paint and get it to where you want it to sit. Like so, that's looking lovely. So we've painted in our grey. Now what we're going to do is just put in some of the base colour for the green of our little bushes here. So I'm going to take up a pale green to begin with. So a nice pale green, and again just then putting that colour down on your little bushes. Coming all the way along. Now this is quite a different way of painting for us, because we've always done things that have been quite bold, the illustrations that we've worked on previously. So to actually be doing a lovely pastel-y type picture is a little bit different for us. So just take some time and just work that paint. You want it very, very soft and no real signs of any brush marks. Like so. And then we can paint with the pale green the smaller of our little trees. So pop that colour on there. For the larger one, we'll go with a slightly different colour, and I'll just use a nice leaf green. And then we also need to do our little row of bushes down at the bottom there. So again, I'm just going to use some of that lovely pale green. And we'll just paint in those bushes. Don't worry about the trunk of that tree, because that's going to be drawn in anyway using the fine liner pen. And just work that paint so you've got that lovely soft texture. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do is paint in our little tree down here. So we're going to do a nice sort of autumnal colour of the tree. So I'm just going to use like this lovely ochre colour. And again, just a nice light loose touch. Coming up the side of the house. And also the roof. And then again, just take some time just to get that lovely soft pastel hue. And then using the leaf green now, we can paint in our little trees on this hill. So that's 1, 2, 3. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is we just need to be putting some colour onto our lovely little cottages, and I'm just going to use like a fleshy sort of peachy colour. So taking up your colour on your brush, we'll put this lovely fleshy toned paint on the side of the building, just going around the windows. And again, just keep it nice and light. Work with that paint, and you can even allow some of the paper to bleed through when it comes to doing the buildings. You don't need to be so sort of bold with your colours. Take up that excess there. I'm quite happy for that paint to sit darker along the bottom because that looks rather nice. And that will show through when it comes to us doing the little picket fence. Like so. So we'll do the same sort of fleshy colour on our little forward facing cottage. Just being careful over those little bushes that we've painted. Lovely. We need to just put the same colour onto our little chimneys. So we'll just put a little bit of the ochre onto the chimney. And then the final little bits that we need to apply some paint onto before we then start shading are our little bunny rabbits. And we can also do our little robin as well. So for our little bunny rabbits, you can do them 2 different colours. So you can take up a nice little bit of brown. You could warm that brown up if you wanted to and add a little bit of orange or a little bit of yellow. We'll just put some brown on our one little bunny. So just painting in his ears. Around his bottom. And just being careful around where his little tail's going to be, because he's going to have a little white little bobtail. And just put a little bit of shading, like I say, just work that paint just down one side. It's quite cute. So that's one little bunny done. And then our next little bunny, you can do either a grey or a darker brown. So I'm going to do a little bit of the darker brown on this one. Around his little bobtail. Like so. And then for the robin, just using the brown that you've used for your little bunny, you can just paint in his tail and come over the top of his head. Just put a little tuft on his little tail. Whoops, didn't mean to knock you. And then what you need to do is just take up a little bit of the red and then just pop his little red breast in. And just leave a little bit of white between the red of his breast and the brown of his feathers. And that's your little robin. And then just finally, with that brown, we just need to paint in that little porch that we've got on our little cottage. Bring a line down for the roof. Now that needs to dry, and then we can come back to it now tomorrow. And what we'll do tomorrow is we'll do some of the sort of glazing and shading to ensure that the painting isn't so flat, and then we'll be popping in our lovely sort of flowers and seed heads that we've got going on in the foreground. So that's it for today. Do take your time, enjoy it. Really, I don't know why, but this little picture is really quite relaxing to paint. So do enjoy it, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Goodbye.